I gotta see if it's okay. And hello and welcome to the space between ideas. I'm Blaine Gates. If this is your first time, you are in for a surprise. And if you've been following along with the playlist since the first video, then you are in for a treat. So let's begin. If you've been following along with the playlist, then you know that we are talking about the direct outcomes checklist developed by Thomas Buchholz from the book Create Crucial Insight. The concept up here, you can see envision purposes that motivate or can motivate individuals, teams, relationships, or activities. So probably I should have started there. Because look, it talks about like it motivates individuals. Okay, it can motivate teams, and it can motivate relationships. It can motivate activities. So what is it that gets us to do the things that we're doing? Now, the reason why I said that if you are following since the very first video that you are in for a treat, it's because of the general nature of what I'm doing on this channel and what I do as a profession and what I'm doing in this overall project. The idea is that I am attempting to create something new. Let me show you what I mean. So if we jump into this thing that I call Space Between Ideas YouTube channel, you can see here that there is a playlist called State Purposes, and today is going to be video number 7. I think I might have another video to add to the case studies from client meetings. The thing I wanted to show you, well, here's my online course. You can see it here. There's 20 videos in my online course called the Endeavor Cycle Online Course. You can purchase that course and go through that course. See, it's unlisted here. You can go through that course if you click the Linktree link here. And then you can buy Tom's book here. Either you can buy the digital copy using PayHip. If you click it here, then it takes you to his PayHip buy now. In the past, you used to be able to change your location. Like if you use a VPN, then you can change your location because some countries don't charge you a VAT tax. In the past, you could just change your country. Now, I've used the same website. It's called PayHip, but instead of just a link to purchase a digital tool, I created a whole website. So it's called spacebetweenideas.com, and this is PayHip. So you can click my course, or you could go through my blog posts. Anyways, you click the course, and here's the sales page for the course. Basically, here it is. So here's getting started, game pieces, game flow, quick review at the heart of the operation. So, this is the whole course, and you can purchase that course. I think it is very useful for you to go through that course. And anyways, today what I see, the overall objective, like what is going on? Like why is there 36 videos in this section called A Course, a Game, a Book, plus AI? And it's this concept about facilitation. The thing is that with Tom's book, there's, he's got basically 11 direct outcomes checklists. And over the last 5-6 years, as I've been working thousands and thousands, over 300 people, over 3,000 hours, I've found and adopted other thinking tools and methodologies. And so I have like this toolbox full of thinking tools and thinking methodologies. Now, the thing is, I'm trying to bring them all together and create some kind of, a course or a game, a book? Like, what is it that I'm trying to create? I'm trying to actually create a facilitation process. That's why I said plus AI. It's because I want to create some kind of facilitation process, almost like a chat bot. Because the thing is that, like, I have a student, or, if you want to use the word student, I like to use the word student. They come to me, they start saying, okay, I have this problem. And because I've used these thinking tools over a very broad range of experiences, I can listen to the person. I basically know what they're talking about. I can pull in a thinking tool here. I pull in a thinking tool here. I put them together, and then here's the table. And then they're like, oh, okay, that's one way to think about the problem. And then we start to fill in the table with their ideas. And they're like, oh, wow, that really organized my thoughts. And then I build another idea. And then we build another idea. And we keep filling in all these different things until they have a very, very clear idea of what needs to happen. And then they can create a to-do list. And then they go and delegate. And then they go and work and get the job done. The reason why State Purposes Live lecture series is kind of, I don't know, what is going on? It just sounds like, do you even know what you're talking? Gordon. It's my dog. I'm like, do you even know what you're talking about? Like, what is going on? What are you doing? What's going on with this? It just seems so challenging. Like, do you understand what this is about? Like, what is happening? And it's true. Like, I chose like the most difficult thinking tool, direct outcomes checklist in the book to start talking about, because even me, it was like, it's just so challenging. This one tool is just really challenging to understand and apply. And I needed to start to build out something like a course, a game, a book. What is it that I'm trying to build? I'm building out the idea. And by forcing myself to get in front of the public and build out this idea, then like I'm doing this thinking tool, which is the most difficult of the thinking tools that I've been teaching for the last, 6 years. So yeah, welcome aboard and thank you for your patience. What am I talking about? So I'll give you an example. Yesterday, we were talking about this guy. So I had a trial session on Monday with this kid from China, and he's going to an economics university. He's a second-year student, and I wanted to kind of give him the ability to work his way back to what am I talking about, and how is it connected to what he is studying. So that's why I created this thing here. Now, of course, everybody who's American watched the debate, and like politics, it's about war and peace. I don't know what that debate was about. It certainly wasn't about war and peace. I mean, it seems as though Trump is like, he said, like, come on, I was in here for 4 years. There were no wars. You're in here for 4 years. Wars everywhere. So I think we could reasonably expect that the people who are funding the Democrats are likely of the opinion that in order for America to remain dominant in the world, then they have to, I guess what they call is mow the grass. So it means to destabilize other countries and put their governments in a situation where the U.S. has some amount of control over their systems of government. I think that's what it means. I'm not really sure. And then from the perspective of the Republicans, it seems like what they're saying is that we should focus on our domestic situation and figure out how to bring the jobs home and try to strengthen our own people and I don't know, move away from international affairs. I'm not really sure exactly. It's kind of the impression that I get, but I'm Canadian, so I don't know. Anyways, the whole point is that politics is extremely complicated, right? So you have a group of politics, you get war or peace. You have a group of economies, you have politics. You have a group of markets, you have economies. You have a group of organizations and you have a market. You have a group of departments and you have an organization. And look, hey, now it's getting closer and closer to things that I actually have some opinion about because I've been working with these ideas for a long time. A group of projects is called a department. A group of action and plans, there you go, it's a project. And then we get back down to this very simple idea of how to create actions and plans. And what that kind of spurred is, see, every day when you talk to people and when you're thinking and it brings in new information and new perspective. And so suddenly I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Motivation, like the whole concept that we've been focusing on is the relationship, like the employment agreement, the labor contract, the relationship between the employer and the employee. What are the ways that you can provide spark triggers for your employees so that they have some drive to get the job done more accurately and faster and more creatively and whatever, So the whole concept was based on this Fogg's motivation model, where you have people that have intrinsic motivation, meaning that the thing which they're doing at work is exactly what they love to do and are interested in doing, and they desire to do it. And those people are just running at full speed, and you don't have to worry about it because they're going to get the job done. They love doing what they're doing. And then you have other people who are good at creating some type of value, and maybe they need a little bit of spark. And that's where this idea of motivation comes in, is how to provide benefits in order to get people to improve their performance, because maybe they just don't really like what they do at work. So it's almost like it goes below this thing about how to create actions and plans. It's the basis. It goes before everything. It's about motivation. It's about interest. It's about how to actually, because you can't get an action. Let's say that the first thing is do, and it's action. So then the question is, well, what spurred the action? Was it a spark trigger? What moved you from inaction to action? Right? It's either a facilitation trigger or a spark trigger, according to Fogg's motivation model. And so we're going before the action. But in general, also the idea of like having different levels of analysis, it also gave me some ideas. Now, I always like to bring up, if we look at this thing called the 4-part endeavor cycle, this is the really, really basic idea. Remember, I'm always saying output, input, scenarios, choice. So here's another way to look at output, input, scenarios, choice. The question is, what do you want to do? Okay, so you enter the program. First, we need to take inventory. It depends. I mean, if it's a new endeavor, see, what we're talking about is potential here. And if we're trying to shape potential, then the question is, what do we have to work with? But it's always better to wind the clock back one more step, because it's better to look at the output from your endeavors. So what was the output from before? And if you don't have any kind of like personal experience, then we need to look at historical examples. We need to look at case studies. Like, what are we doing in business school? We're looking at the output of organizations. And then after we get some understanding of the output, then we can start to think about how are we going to input and take inventory. Like, do we have what it takes to succeed? So then after we have like our inventory, meaning these are all the things which we have, now we have to turn it into an actual map, meaning the scenarios. So based on the inventory, based on the things which we have to work with, then what kinds of scenarios can we create with those things and based on what we want to do? Now, just like if you're jogging up this mountain, after you have a general understanding of the terrain, there may be one or two different routes, and then depending on the situation, you're going to make a choice. The choice meaning that you are now making a plan, and after you have a plan, then you will run the play and let's go. Now, right now, we're really focused on the idea of potential, and potential breaks down into these three ideas. Now, in general, so I made that one course that you can purchase, which is the introductory course, the introduction, helping you understand the endeavor cycle. So my second course, I haven't filmed it yet. It's going to be called Recognize Outcomes. It's about people and systems. And you can see that recognize output, it's exactly what we were just talking about. You see, run the play, it's going to give you some output. So the first thing we do is recognize the output. And then the course after that is going to be called, let's go up to the top, here it is. And so the next course is called Take Inventory. Now, when we talk about taking inventory, again, it's interesting to talk about vision. Like, the first thing you need to do before you talk about inventory is like, you have to answer the question, what do you want to do? Gordon. This dog is... Anyways, so yeah, you have to answer what do you want to do, and then let's take inventory. So, and what does it mean to take, well, what does it mean to ask what do you want to do? We're talking about vision. And then what does it mean to take inventory? To take inventory means like, okay, so people guiding, we're going to be guiding interactions. And so how much managerial experience do we have on our team? We need some managerial experience because we need to put those people together. And then how much coaching experience do we have? Because we need to drive motivation. We need to get everybody working. And then what kind of access to resources do we have? The reason why I wanted to point out this concept of resources was because in this course, we take those three concepts of potential and you have it here. So here's develop teamwork, here's motivate participants, and here's gather resources. And those are going to give you three more direct outcomes checklists, which we're not going to talk about right now. Actually, technically, we're speaking about motivating participants right now. This is literally what we're talking about, is how to think about motivation when we are shaping potential. Now, the reason why I brought this idea up is because if you go into gather resources, in the last video, we were talking about the word reputation. Reputation is a resource. And then if you go to the very back of the book, Create Crucial Insight, you're going to find this interesting sentence right here. All right, so it says reputation, motivate constituents, motivate this constituent to take this action. So this is a more practical approach. You could say that I want this specific action to be taken by this specific person. And then once you've decided exactly what the action is and who you want to perform the action, then the question is, what is the motivation that is going to get people to take that action? And I would say if we go back to this concept of the debate from Trump and Harris, then the idea is they have reputations, right? They both have reputations, and their reputations is going to be some kind of motivating factor that will influence people to vote. So reputation matters. Now, bringing it all together, let's jump back into our original little thing. So, you might be thinking, well, okay, so we already talked about the first couple. We talked about maintain or enhance wellness. We talked about attaining certification or other recognitions. We talked about enhancing reputation. Just now, we talked about reputation again. So that means that we should go to deploy, gain, or create resources, methods, skills, or knowledge. Now, I would say that that is a very complex idea. You have deploy, gain, create. Those are three verbs. And then we have resources, methods, skills, and nouns. Those nouns, knowledge, and those are nouns. So we have a verb noun combination, and 3 multiplied by 4 is 12. Those are 12 completely different ideas that we can talk about, but I'm not ready to talk about that today. In fact, what I did was I built another table. So that was the whole thing. That's my introduction to today, which only took most of the time. But what I'm trying to say here is that when we talk about shaping potential, then we're talking about this is the full table. Oops. But before we go, see, there's two parts to the table. There's the stuff we've already talked about, and then there's the stuff we're going to talk about in the future. Let's go back to the stuff that we've already talked about. And in general, the question is, okay, so this is the statement. I feel motivated and easily achieve the state of flow when. All right, so what motivates you? When do you feel motivated? When do you feel like you're in the state of flow? When do you feel energized? When do you feel engaged with people or things? Which pursue aims such as, okay? So, and then here's the aims that we're pursuing. So I feel motivated. I feel like I can easily achieve the state of flow when I'm working with people who are maintaining or enhancing wellness in the area of physical fitness. Or I feel motivated and I can enter the state of flow when I am with people who are engaged in spiritual endeavors. Or maybe you're different, so you're more like things. So I feel motivated and easily achieve the state of flow when I'm engaged with things which enhance my intellectual capability. Right? So there are different things that motivate different people. And in general, I was focusing on these two concepts, which is the employment contract. The question is your compensation. Okay, what do I get from this job? How is this job going to enhance or maintain my wellness? For example, how is this job going to maintain or enhance my financial well-being, or my emotional well-being, or physical or social or spiritual or intellectual or environmental? So what is it exactly that this job is going to give me? Okay, so maybe I'm a preacher. Well, being a preacher is likely going to improve your spiritual and your social well-being. Or I'm a psychologist. Well, probably being a psychologist is going to improve your emotional and your maybe financial well-being. Okay, I want to be a teacher. Okay, well, that's going to improve your intellectual well-being. I build windmills. What does that have to do with the environment? All right, so the question is, what am I getting out of this job? That's called compensation. Now, the next thing is that the question is, what is the company hoping to get out of your employee? That's your contribution, all right? So if I'm an investor, so that's not necessarily an employee. If I'm an investor, then our business is going to get investment, meaning that it will improve the financial wellness of our company. Or maybe you are a guidance counselor and you're going to improve the emotional well-being of our employees. We're hiring somebody for that purpose. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe you're a manager and all the coders, they don't like each other, they don't talk to each other. We need a manager who can improve the social well-being of our company. Remember, we're talking about shaping potential. So how can we shape the potential of our company? And it's going to be through the contribution of the employees. Now, we can continue. So I thought of a couple more. I don't know what you think about this, but the next one is how is the company pursuing its motivations? So now we're turning the idea of motivation to the concept of an entity, right? The company is an entity. It's a living, breathing organization that has a vision. It has a mission, and it has methods that it uses to achieve its mission and to pursue its vision. So, all right, now, so our company, let's talk about the company. The company wants to enhance its financial well-being, all right? So then the question is, what are the plans that we've set up? And how are we pushing toward improving the financial well-being of the company? Now, I don't know if you can improve the emotional well-being of the company, because the entity, it's a legal entity, but it doesn't actually, it lives and breathes. Anyways, so as an organization, not necessarily talking about the employees in general, but what motivates this kind of business? What is it that this business is trying to pursue? What is the vision? Our vision, okay? So our church is to achieve some type of, we want to provide spiritual well-being. We want to provide intellectual well-being. We want to also improve, we want to have, how can we have a business where we are making decisions and we feel good about the decisions that we're making? And how can we make sure that we feel good about the way that we communicate with each other as we pursue the vision and as we work on the mission? So as an entity, there are also elements of maintaining or enhancing wellness. Likewise, let's look at the value proposition. So your business is actually producing a product or a service that's called a value proposition. And now you have to ask the question, what does the customer get out of the product or the service? For example, financial. The question is, does the product save the customer money? Does it have the same functional output, but it's cheaper? Right? So the individual, a person, why did you buy this one rather than this one? Because they do the same thing and this one was cheaper. So you can see it. The person who's buying the product is motivated by their financial wellness. If they're getting the same output, then why not buy the cheaper one? Emotional. So some people's products are based on the concept of entertainment. They create entertainment. The movie industry is based on entertaining people. So or maybe the games. And in fact, at some level, I'm trying to create something which is somewhat entertaining and educational. And someday I want to create a game. So like, how do you create a game around this broad range of intellectual and business concepts in order for people to be able to grasp it and have fun with it? So I'm trying to create some kind of facilitation process. Seems quite complicated. Now, what about transformation? So sometimes people are like, hey, I want to make a change in my life. And then they go jump onto some AI chatbot and say, hey, what do I need to do to make a change in my life? And then boom, it gives some recommendation. And then you copy and paste that and put it into Google. And then you search. And then what happens is you get some product recommendations. There you go. The person made a purchase of a value proposition to make a transformation, because that's what was motivating them. Emotional transformation. Physical. All right, so I'm using, what kind of earphones are you using? Well, I'm using those big earphones because they're more comfortable. So I want to improve my physical wellness. I buy a value proposition which is comfortable. What about experience, right? So I want to have some kind of adventure, a physical experience. I want to be on the boat. I want to feel I'm moving from side to side, right? So something physical is motivating me to make this purchase. Social, I'm going to a museum. I'm going to an art exhibition. I'm doing something cultural. I'm trying some new food. I'm making a decision to purchase your value proposition because it improves some aspect of my social. I desire to have some enhancement of my social awareness and well-being. Spiritual. I mean, this one says values. So in this case, we're moving away from the concept of church, although I think pretty much all the churches are charging. So you'll definitely be paying money if you go to church. But this one's talking about values. And then the question is, like, if you purchase this product, does it make you feel ethical? Does it make you feel some spiritual wellness? Does it align with your values? And I think that's like a lot about today's marketing, because I mean, why am I making all these videos rather than just pouring a bunch of money into Google Ads and then just trying to get people to click and then make that purchase? And it's because I think that people, they want to know, what do you believe in? Who are you? What are you all about? Do I believe in the values that you have? Like if I say, I love Trump, or I love Harris, or I hate Trump, or I hate Harris, like, you know, you're going to lose 50% of the company, your customers, depending on what you say, depending on the product. It's like, sometimes the product is so, Gordon, shh. All right, intellectual, so same thing. So a product that allows, Gordon. He's barking at the kids. See, the neighbors are so mad. They want to, like, anyways, I started using a leash. He barks at everybody these days. All right, so I mean, maybe you're a dog person and you're like, hey, you know, he's a dog person, so he must have some, you know, like it's all about values, right? Like, what do you believe about animals? Intellectual. So we're talking about a product that allows a customer to achieve some kind of objective. For example, what I'm presenting here. I'm sure that the things that I'm saying, if you have some desire to improve your understanding of business concepts and business knowledge and go into the nitty-gritty details of the book Create Crucial Insight by Thomas Buchholz, then I'm providing this value proposition to you, and YouTube is giving it to you for free. So there you go. Productivity. Yeah, it's hard to say. Like, the thing is, you know that one meme where they have like a big, huge line of people? It's like easy, but it's the wrong answer, and everybody's going down that path. And then difficult, but it's the right answer. There's like a couple of people going down that path. So that's a question about productivity when it comes to my product, because it's going to take you a long time to step by step understand all these concepts, and then understand the tools, and then understand how to apply them in some kind of facilitation process. So good luck with that. Environmental. So are you going to buy an electric car or are you going to keep using a gas guzzler? And what is your opinion about gas guzzling and like how much energy it takes to dig out all the minerals that it takes to create those batteries? I mean, it's like, it's all debatable, right? Usability. So, you know, the example says an action camera that is intuitive to operate and is built for the terrain. It's used in enhancing environmental interaction and exploration. It's a weird. Anyway, so that's about environmental. It's like, does the tool that you're using help you to explore the environment? So that's the show today. I just wanted to expand what we've already talked about, specifically about maintaining or enhancing wellness, and then to give you a whole bunch of examples of how the product or value proposition which you're making in the business also is going to be sold to people who are motivated, and then understanding the motivation of your audience is going to help you to be able to define marketing messages and also the features and the benefits that you get from the product, as well as to shape your company. All right, we gotta end this. I'm starting to mix up my words. Thank you for tuning into Space Between Ideas, and we'll see you next time.